is the biblical precedent for made to appear. When Christians are confronted with the reality that Jesus was not crucified, but rather it was made to appear so, their immediate defense is a desperate philosophical objection. The skeptic's question always follows the exact same script. Quote, if Allah made it appear as though Jesus died, wouldn't that make him a deceiver? Didn't he trick billions of people into believing a false religion? End quote. This is their favorite trap, designed to attack the character of God rather than dealing with the historical and theological facts. But this argument is nothing more than a hollow talking point that completely ignores the contents of their own scriptures. We have to ask the critical question, does God use illusion? To answer that, we do not even need to look outside their own book. There's a profound difference between a malicious deception meant to mislead and a divine rescue meant to protect a chosen messenger. God is the master of the physical universe, and he holds absolute authority to bend physical laws and human perception to fulfill his divine will. When God acts to save his prophets from the hands of the wicked, it is an act of supreme mercy, justice, and power, not a malicious trick. If Christians want to claim that God would never alter human sensory perception, they need to turn to 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 6. In this exact biblical text, it states, quote, for the Lord caused the Arameans to hear the sound of chariots and horses and a great army. So they fled, end quote. Here, biblical God explicitly manipulates the physical senses of an entire opposing force. He caused them to hear a massive, terrifying army that did not actually exist in the physical realm. Why did he do this? To rescue his people from imminent destruction. The precedent is establishing perfectly in their own text. The biblical God has a documented, undeniable history of altering human sensory perception to execute a divine rescue. If God can manipulate the hearing of an entire Aramean army to save the Israelites, he is more than capable of manipulating the sight of a bloodthirsty mob in Jerusalem to save the Messiah. Placing the physical resemblance of Jesus onto another person to rescue a beloved prophet from a humiliating, accursed death on a cross is the ultimate manifestation of God's saving power. It is a rescue, plain and simple. The Christian narrative tries to shift the blame onto God for the subsequent idolatry of the Greco-Roman world. But God is not the author of their paganism. God saved Jesus. It was humanity, specifically the latter Hellenistic cultures and Paul, who took an event they did not understand and spun it into a Roman myth about a dying, blood-atoning man-god. The physical illusion on the day of the crucifixion was God's rescue mission. The latter, idolatry, the worship of Jesus, and the invention of the Trinity were entirely human fabrications. The followers of those false doctrines are responsible for their own deviations, and their own book proves that God's methods of rescue are perfectly aligned with the Quranic narrative.